Hello. It's Nia and Trent from the Trident Network's Tournament Podcast.
We just wanted to pop in and tell you about the Tourney Pod, where each week we pit different pieces of pop culture against each other in a March Madness-style tournament.
We try to cover everything, from movies to TV shows to music to random stuff, like our hotly contested Best Pasta Shape bracket.
You can listen to the Tournament Podcast and all other Trident Network shows wherever you get your podcasts.
We hope you'll become an attorney at Pod soon enough, and remember, may the thing with the most votes win. God, it's me again.
What now? You lose a sock? Boombox batteries go dead again? Or did you just sprout your first zit?
Whoa, some deity woke up on the wrong side of his bed.
Yeah, well, you try listening to an ungrateful creature complain about his hangnail while the world is run amok with war, famine, and injustice.
Maybe you should do something about those things, too.
Thunderstorm! Hey, Val.
Hey, Al. Hey, Nia.
Hey, Al and Val.
Welcome to D-Commentaries.
Thank you. Welcome to you, and welcome to Nia, and welcome to all of our listeners. Today, we're talking about Miracle in Lane 2.
Woohoo!
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom.
Even though these don't vroom, vroom.
They do in our hearts.
They do in our hearts. Nia, introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey, everybody. My name is Nia D'Amelio. I'm many things, first of which is a fan of Miracle in Lane 2. No, that's not true. I host a show on the Trident Network called The Tournament Podcast.
Yay!
Also a friend of Val and Allie's. And the literal second that they released D-Commentaries, I was like, can I do Miracle in Lane 2?
And
That's
here you
what you
are.
need to know about me. I know. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Some might say that Nia has an obsession with Miracle in Lane 2.
Some might.
Some might.
And some are.
We'll find out if we're those people.
Nia's also being modest. She's very important to the Trident Network and in many ways.
Thank you, Val.
And she does make the Tournament Podcast, which is great, but she does a lot more than that.
I do what I can.
Yay, we love you, Nia.
She does more than she can, and I appreciate it. All right, let's get to the info, the lowdown. Miracle in Lane 2 came out May 13th, 2000, so it was still this monthly release schedule. It was directed by DCOM fave Greg Beeman.
Buzz, Greg Beeman.
You will recognize his work from Under Wraps, Brink, and Horse Sense.
Come on now. And
Brink in Horse Sense.
Yep. We love the B-Man.
Fun fact, Brink is also in Horse Sense. And which also makes sense, that a star from Brink is also in this movie, which I had completely forgotten. We'll get to that in 1 second.
There's two.
There's actually a lot of people from.
There's like a few.
There's a lot of people from a lot of his movies in this movie. It's like a reunion of all the other Greg
That's
Beeman.
what it's going to be like when Val is a famous filmmaker. She's just going to cast all of us in her movies. And then you're going to be like,
true.
oh my God, that Al and Nia are in the movie again.
Yep. And you're going to crush it. So it's going to be the right call. This movie was written by Joel Kaufman and Donald Yost, whose only other writing credit is Full Court Miracle. So these two wrote two sports movies for the old Mouse House and then just
retired.
Hung up
two and done.
Hung up the pencil.
Hung up the pencil.
Hang it up. Hang it up, Yost. We're done.
Did you see that the writers and the original Justin Yoder are Mennonites?
Oh, I did not see that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Which makes Full Court Miracle make more sense to me somehow because they are both also religious. Or at least Full Court Miracle is a religious movie.
Yeah, well,
this
is
religious undertones.
Yeah, I mean, this does too. He talks to God.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a star-studded cast. Frankie Muniz of Agent Cody Banks, My Dog Skip, Malcolm in the Middle, playing
Big
Justin.
Fat Liar.
Big Fat Liar. So many. I'm so much. Also, a 1-week episode arc on Criminal Minds.
Was he like a murderer or something?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
I love that.
If I had to guess anyone in Hollywood was a murderer, Frankie Muniz probably would be at the list.
I'm going to call you out and say that's a bad read on Frankie Muniz. No way.
Yeah,
Maybe not
really
childhood
nice.
Frankie Muniz, but maybe adult
Current
Frankie Muniz.
Okay, maybe.
Current Frankie Muniz just looks like child Frankie Muniz with like a beard.
Yeah.
Anyway, he plays Justin Yoder, who's the main character in the movie. Rick Rossovich plays his dad, Myron. Yes, very, very hot. Nia's fanning herself.
Welcome to Hot Dad,
cow.
Cool Dad, Nia. Because
Yes.
I know you
He
guys
is
talk
hot
about
dad.
this. He is hot potato.
You might recognize him from Terminator, from Top Gun. That's what I definitely recognized him from. And from a stint on ER. Molly Hagan plays Sheila Yoder, his Justin's mom. And she's been a character actor for a long, long time, but she's had kind of a big boost in her career in the last few years, starting with she was in that Law and Order, the Menendez murders show.
Oh, interesting.
And then she was on Jane the Virgin. And then most recently she was on a show called Walker, which I had not heard of, but she's clearly a lead because she's in every episode. So
Nice.
she's doing well.
She is also an Allie Friends fact. She is also is in an episode of Friends.
Great. Yeah.
An Allie Friends fact.
She's one of those people who's been in like one of everything.
Yeah, she's in Every Woman for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's great though.
Yeah. And I think she's very pretty.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That hair, I wish my hair looked like that.
Right? Okay, this is our Brink connection. Patrick Levis played Seth Yoder, Justin's older brother, who's the sporty guy. And he is one of Brink's best friends in Brink. And he also was in So Weird with Eric Von Denton. So those are his 2 credits. He's not an actor anymore.
If I can say one thing about brother Seth.
Yes.
When I was young, and we will talk about my relationship with this movie, but when I was young and still now today, I am a huge fan of Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane. And I think that the guy who plays Seth looks like Seth MacFarlane. And when I was young, I thought it was Seth MacFarlane.
Because his name was Seth.
Because his name was Seth.
What a cute connection.
That's so cute.
Could you imagine though?
Seth MacFarlane being a Mennonite.
That is absolutely the least believable thing about that.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Excuse me. Roger Aaron Brown played Vic. Old Vic. He's a character actor as well. He hasn't like been in anything for a long period of time, but he's been in everything. Tuck Watkins played God / Bobby Wade. And I recognize him as being Pistol Pete from Parks and Rec. But he's been in a bunch of stuff. And then you'll recognize the villain dad, Bill, from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. His name is Joel McKinnon Miller. He's in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was also in the 13th Year.
He's also in Big Love.
Oh, okay. I've never seen Big
yeah.
Love. Nice. And then we've got some other overlaps with Horse Sense. Holmes Osborne, he plays the guy who like comes to tell them that they can't participate because of the handbrake.
Yeah, the guy from the championship.
Yeah,
league.
yeah. He's in Horse Sense, and he's also in Bring It On.
Yeah, he's the dad in Bring It On, yeah.
Yep. And then Frida Fon Chen plays Dr. Kwan in this movie, and she's in Horse Sense. She plays Arlene.
I recognized her immediately.
Yeah, she's great. I really like her a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course, even Steven's dad, because it wouldn't be a Greg Beeman movie without
the love
even
of my
Steven's
life.
dad somewhere in that.
It's literally like 3 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like, there he is.
But that's him.
It's kind of like, it's
single.
not I Spy, it's Where's Waldo. It's Where's Even Steven's dad.
It's literally Where's Even Steven's dad. And I mean, he must be like best friends with Greg Beeman or something, because he literally is in every single one of these.
All of these.
Yeah. He's the Stan Lee of Beeman movies.
Oh my God, that's so funny. He is the Stanley. That's hilarious. Okay, the synopsis is short again. Determined to keep up with his athletic brother, a boy in a wheelchair tries to win a soapbox derby trophy. I think that's a great synopsis.
That is probably the best one we've had.
It's short. It's to the point. It doesn't give anything away, but it tells you what's happening. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Winner of a synopsis. That synopsis deserves a trophy. Okay, let's get to the chatting. Nia, why don't you tell us why you wanted so badly to be on this particular episode?
Okay, I will gladly. I spoke to Al and Val earlier in the week, and my decom tastes are like very specific and sort of niche. Like, I feel like this isn't a very popular decom, but it was one of 2 that I had, like, my mom had recorded on like a blank tape for me. The other one was True Confessions. And so those 2 I played all the time. However, Miracle Lane 2's video, I don't know what happened, but it was never the whole movie. So I only saw the ending of Miracle in Lane 2 a few months ago when it came onto Disney Plus.
Wait, okay, when did it end for you?
The ending is perhaps the funniest part. My tape ended in the middle of the Seth dad fight scene where Seth is like, am I the only one who's afraid that Jason's gonna die?
End of movie.
No joke.
Wow.
But nonetheless, I watched it over and over.
Did you know how it
over
ended?
Again.
Or were you like, this is how it ends?
I mean, I didn't, like, until I watched it a few months ago, I had no memory of the ending at all.
Okay.
But I think as a kid, you know, everything has a happy ending. So you're like, I never was like, Jason's dead because of that conversation. Like, I figured he won, you know, or something good happened at the end. Oh, but that's like, I just think that's so funny that like I used to watch it all the time, despite the fact that it did not have the right ending.
That is so funny, but also very of that time, because like you could also turn on the TV and end up 2/3 of the way into a movie and still watch
kind
it.
of stuck there.
Yeah, like we were at the mercy of the television schedule. So like there were a lot of times where you'd see like part of a movie, or you'd watch like the end and then they'd restart it and you'd watch the beginning after you watched the end.
Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that feels on brand for that era for sure. Also, I forgot to mention, this is based on a true story. And the real Justin Yoder is in the movie for like a very brief second.
For a moment.
End. Yes.
He's in it. He's in it as long as like the Even Stevens dad is in it.
Right. Okay. So Nia, let's talk about like, what were your first impressions? You can either use your first impressions, like real first impressions, like when you first watched this, or you can talk about when you watched it for today.
I'll do my real first impressions. I'll do both. When I was a kid, I think I liked it because I liked watching an underdog succeed. And then additionally, I feel like I have a little bit of I don't know what to call it. My gut is to call it like a morbid curiosity, which I don't think is the right word. But like when that scene when Jason like passes out in the car.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
His name is Justin.
Oh my God. Why did I keep saying Jason?
You only said it once.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Okay. The scene when Justin passes out in the car is like one that sticks. I don't know. I really like dramas. And so this isn't like a full drama, but this is like a kid drama. And so when I was a kid, I was like, there's a lot of gravitas in this movie, like really stuff that I can like latch onto. So I think that was my first impression of the movie and why I liked it so much. Funnily enough, my first impressions now as an adult watching it are that it's very funny. It's like very whimsical. Like it's a lot of his internal fantasy, and that's like very fun. So the exact opposite I like as an adult.
Well, that's how they help kids process big concepts by making it kind of whimsical. I wrote that it felt like Scrubs.
Oh, that's a good connection.
It's a really good comparison.
Definitely.
Yeah. Al, what about you? What were your first impressions?
Thanks, Val. I really liked this movie. I thought it was well acted. I thought it was well written. And I think looking at my track record, my favorite DCOM so far are Buzz Greg Beeman movies.
No surprise.
And so I'm going to go ahead and rate this one an 8 out of 10.
Hey,
whoa.
Wow.
A good score coming from me. And I don't know that I think I've watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember a single thing about it. So I truly remembered nothing. But I thought it was so fun, so great. There were a few things that I didn't really like. Like you guys know, I'm not a fan of the narration. I get why it was in this movie. I'm just not a big fan. We can get across everything he's thinking in plot, and we don't really need him there. But I loved the cutaways. I loved the parents' jury. I loved all of the asides. I thought that it was well cast. It was well acted. Besides the narration, my biggest qualm with it is that Frankie Muniz's wheelchair was too big for his body.
Yes.
It needed to be way smaller.
Yeah.
And you could tell that he was a little uncomfortable sometimes rolling it around, mostly because it wasn't for a child of his size. But other than that, I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't really take a whole lot of notes because I was like watching the entire time. Which is unlike me.
That's true.
Val, what were your first impressions?
I like this movie too. I definitely have seen this multiple times. I think I did kind of conflate it with My Dog Skip a little bit in my brain because there's like similarities in like tone and emotional weight. So I think I like kind of mixed them together a little bit in my memory, but I've definitely seen this multiple times, although I have definitely not seen it in a long time because I completely forgot most of it. And I did really enjoy it. I think that while I have so much respect for Frankie Muniz, I mean, he literally carries this movie. I did find him more irritating than I remember finding him. Mostly his like big face acting that he was doing during the entire movie. But
really
Val,
bad
can you do that one more time?
It's really bad in the funeral scene because he's not speaking and he's talking to two of himself and he's like,
right. It's just like a little much, but he was great. Like I don't want it to come off like I didn't enjoy him. I did.
I'm gonna send this to him so he can determine.
He's gonna know that I think he's currently a serial killer, so I hope you do not send this to him.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Frankie. I know you're not. You can say mean things about me. It's okay. Yeah. You can look at my picture and make assumptions. You let me know what you think.
Oh my God. I really, really, really enjoyed Seth in this movie. Patrick Levis he was acting really, really well. It felt very real, not overdone at all, considering he was a teen playing kind of a dramatic teen. And I loved the parents. I so appreciate when these movies, and it seems like mostly in Greg Beeman movies, there are two parents and they have a healthy relationship with each other.
Incredible communication skills with one another.
Yes, I so appreciate that. And I loved that they had that they were like hot for each other. They really...
we'll get there.
Yeah. And but by the same token, they would call each other out. You know, they like, it was a very adult, healthy relationship that we were allowed to see a lot of, which I very much enjoyed.
It honestly kind of felt like the thing where it's like men written by women. It kind of felt like parents written by women, but they weren't written by women.
What are they? Mennonites? What are these people?
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's
Mennonites written by
men written by Mennonites. Oh my God. Yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. At first I was like a little worried about the whole like old man Vic like trope. And I mean, it's very Home Alone, you know, it's like, oh, the scary guy next door. And then it turns out he's just broken. But I thought he did a good job. Like his transformation felt like authentic and not like whiplash. And I
definitely like took him a while, which was nice.
Yes, exactly. Like it didn't just happen like a snap. Like you saw it developing over time. And yeah, I also really liked the cutaways. I thought that the narration worked in this because they made it worth it. Like it wasn't just a cheat to like explain things. It was very purposeful and it made sense for a kid whose entire life is internal. Who can't really like have many life experiences. Like, of course, he would be like writing sketches in his brain. And so I thought that was really cool. And that they performed it really well because they like took it really seriously in those moments. Like it was real. Every single time one of them was in one of those scenes. So that was really cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. Very fun. Nia, did you have any favorite quotes or moments?
So there are moments from this movie that I really love, and then there are moments that like stick out from my youth of like rewatching it over and over again. Moments that I loved genuinely are already has been brought up. The court scenes, totally brilliant. The jury of all the moms and dads, so funny. Come on. Next scene. If you know me, you know I love cookies. And there are lots of cookie moments in this movie that I remember from my childhood. The one where he's like, they've been out for a while. Yeah. I remembered that. I was like, oh, yeah. And then he brings new cookies. The only other thing that I was going to mention that really stood out to me was, and this is funny since I said his name wrong earlier, but how many times they say the name Justin Yoder, the full name throughout the whole movie is repeated over and over and over again.
Take a drink when you hear Justin Yoder.
You'll be dead by the end of the movie. Yeah. Like, and I don't know if it's because it's a biopic. Like, I don't know if it's because he is a real person. I feel like that is more common in those kinds of situations, but like, I mean, we were even hearing like Seth Yoder a bunch, and I was like, why are we hearing their full name all the time? Like beyond like announces at races, like it was like everywhere.
Like his parents calling him, "Hey, Justin Yoder, come down for dinner."
What is that
about? Cool. Any other stuff before we move to Al?
I think also just that scene when I know I talked about it earlier, but when he passes out in the car, was like very...
He's very limp.
Yeah. Something, or even when he runs into the mailbox earlier, like both of those scenes stuck out to me in my childhood. I think because, you know, they're an apex of a moment. And as I said before, I love drama. So those two scenes also stand out to me as like scenes I love.
Nice.
Al?
Thanks, Val. I know you love when I say that. I love saying it because you laugh.
It tickles me.
I thought it was really interesting. This bothered me in the beginning and then was confirmed and I was incorrect. But when they were like, just like his dad and just like his brother, he's good at baseball. And I was like, why didn't they mention mom? Just like, that's kind of stupid that like if they're a sports family that like you're not mentioning mom. And then it went into one of my favorite lines where they were talking about Jackie Robinson and she goes, well, I hope she does great. And I was like, okay, so mom doesn't know sports. That's why they didn't mention her. But if they hadn't mentioned that, I probably would have been sad that they just assumed mom wasn't a sports person.
They made it like a thing. Like every single time she was at a sporting event, she'd be like, put it in the goal. Give a 3. Like whatever sport she was watching.
Super cute about it. It was really fun. I really like the line where, so we'll find out when we do Spoiler City, but they make sure that Justin is feeling okay. And so they ask, do you have any headaches? And he goes, only when I do this.
Yeah.
That was so funny. I love the parent scene where they're about to, and he goes, and she goes, I wish, but I can't. And I was like, that. I love these parents. There's a moment where Vic says, get out. And it was so awkward the way that Vic said it. And I was like, that was weird. Favorite moment, Mom's camera wasn't recording during the game because the camera was clearly closed.
No! I made this went over my head.
She had a camcorder recording a tiny tape. And it was clearly
no way. Oh my God.
Vic and Dad were working together on something and they went to hug and then Vic was like, no, just high five.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cute. I think that was one of my favorite like quotes and stuff. There's a line that we'll talk about at Spoiler City that made me go, yeesh.
Oh boy. I can't wait to hear what that is.
You probably know what it is, but I won't spoil
Probably.
it yet because we haven't taken our tops off.
Yeah.
And Val, quotes or moments. Over to you, Val. Quotes or moments.
Thanks, Sal. The first thing I wrote was, my legs are linguini and I've got more stitches in my head than a baseball.
Super cute.
I did like how, and this felt very realistic, like a person who has been ill their entire life has to have this sort of gallows humor about their situation. And so a lot of the ways that he talked about himself or about death had that sort of like dark humor to them, which I really liked. Right after that, he goes, so once again, we've established that life isn't fair. The mom, this was another one where she was exemplifying that she didn't understand sports. Go for the golden arches.
Oh yeah, that was cute.
We love her. We love her support.
Yep. Al, I thought you were going to say this one. Mom, I'm 12.
Oh, yeah. I thought about it. I almost wrote it down.
And then at one point, Vic says a longer sentence, but within it, he says, full drivers with car phones, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
If only he knew what was coming.
Oh, Lord.
I liked the line that he had pulled from a book or something that's like, I take an existential point of view that life and death are just arbitrary states of being.
Oh yeah. I feel like when you've gone through things like that, you have a different outlook on life for sure. And that was a good, like, I know he's like, I memorized that line because people ask all the time, but it was a fair line.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I don't think this is really a spoiler, even though it happens later in the movie, but Seth sees Justin like eyeing that girl and he says, has Man Cub discovered fire?
That was cute.
It just made me giggle. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but there was a moment towards the end where I cried for the first time in a DCOM.
Whoa, that needs to be a square on the bingo card.
Crying? Well, only if it starts happening more frequently, because otherwise we'll never get bingo.
Wow.
You
well,
know?
there's some boxes we don't mark.
That's true. We've marked, I think, every single one of them at least once, right?
Oh, that's good to know.
I think so. I think I'm done. Are we ready? Anything else people want to talk about before we go to Spoiler City?
A single scene that I did want to mention that also stuck out to me when I was a kid was when he barfs the blue slushie.
Okay, that was something I did want to mention was that is also why I didn't rate it a 10 out of 10 is because barf scenes are truly some of my least favorite things ever. Mm-hmm. I would rather watch someone bleed from every orifice of their body than watch someone throw up. And that's
I think that's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It stay down there.
It stays in.
Yeah.
Stays in.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is one of those not better out than in situations.
Yeah, no. Thank you for the Shrek reference, though.
Anytime.
All right, well, we're zooming right down in our boxcars. Tops are off. We're headed down towards the finish line to Spoiler City.
Vroom, vroom.
That was him running into the ball box.
Yep.
No, then you need Dad going, no.
And he like tries to catch him and he rolls on the ground. That was very funny. All right, welcome to Spoiler City, where we spoil the movie. Wow, that was the first time I sang today. Am I feeling okay? Mia, typically I will do a rundown of the movie, but since you are so obsessed with this DCOM, would you like to do the Spoiler City synopsis today?
I will do my darn best.
Amazing.
And please tell me if I get something wrong. Like the main character's name.
And I did tell you that, so we're off to a good start.
As an aside, I realized why I was calling him Jason, because that is Frankie Muniz's character in Big Fat Liar.
Oh, okay. So there we go. So you are like obsessed with Frankie Muniz.
I love him.
Frankfurt Muniz.
So I'm going to do my best.
Wait, what did you just say?
Frankfurt Muniz.
His name is actually Francisco. Did you know that?
I did not.
Which is worse? I don't know.
I think Frankfurt. I couldn't even get through it the first time. That's why Val had asked me what I said. Okay, great. Let's get started.
Okay. The movie opens up on Justin Yoder in his bedroom, and he is looking over his front yard, and his very athletic brother Seth is like playing with his friends, maybe basketball, because they have a hoop in the driveway. And so he's sort of giving us like a rundown of the fam. He's like, Mom's a realtor, Dad is a professor and a painter. And we learn pretty much the whole reason for the season at the top of the movie is that like Justin is obviously obsessed with his older brother Seth, wishes he could be like Seth, and then you don't see him in a wheelchair until the very end of the opening montage. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's why. So then Seth comes in from B-ball, drenched, and he's like, oh, do I have to go to the funeral? And me personally, I was like, what? This is such a... I don't think we learned about that before, that there was a funeral going on. But basically he gets out of going to this funeral for their uncle, I want to say Maynard. It was something off the beaten path. But so Seth gets out of going to this great uncle's funeral. Justin has to go. And so at the funeral, I really love the way this is shot because there is nowhere for his wheelchair to go. So he's in the middle of the church at the funeral. Mm-hmm. And he is watching the priest give this eulogy about his uncle. And he's like, what would they say about me? And it's like all about his wheelchair and how like he is insignificant. Only his wheelchair and his disability matters. And then in the middle of it, he shouts, what about me? In a classic, did I say that out loud kind of moment? So then he goes home, and I think maybe that night is maybe the first time we see God, who is Bobby Wade, who as a child I thought was a real NASCAR driver. He is fake. Mm-hmm. But God for him is this race car driver named Bobby Wade, and they have a very conversational kind of relationship. He has talked to him before. He's like, why can't I be good enough? And Bobby Wade's like, I'm fixing my car. Please go away. So then Justin gets it in his mind that in order to like be a Yoder and like be who he's truly meant to be, he needs to win some kind of trophy because athletics are like a big deal to him and his family. And so he asks if he can sign up for Summer League baseball, and he enlists the help of his older brother, Seth, to do that. And Seth is like, I'll help you. And then he completely throws Justin under the bus at dinner and is like, he wants to do baseball. And Justin's like, okay, thanks. That's when we get our first jury scene. And Dad says, no, he can't do it. But Grizzly Mom is like, yes, we're going to do it. So they go to the baseball field And the guy who's like signing kids up is like, no way, he's a liability. And then mom's like, tell him how you hit a touchdown in Pee-wee. And he's like, and that's when we get the barf scene.
The infamous scene I'm blocking out. What scene are you talking about? I don't know.
We'll skip right over that. And then I think at some point, sometime in there, we learn that Seth is going to the doctor, but we don't know why. And Justin calls the doctor's office that Seth is going to, and he finds out why, but we don't find out why until later.
In the same scene, he finds lube in his parents'
yeah, he finds strawberry scented massage oil, which completely didn't compute to me when I was a kid.
Those parents were hot for each other.
From the word jump. Dad comes home and is like, let's do it. Mom's like, I'm on the phone. And then we find out they're going to a funeral. Okay. So can't do baseball. Justin's like, I'm going to do chess. Seth's like, you've never played chess. That becomes clear at the chess tournament when Lanny from Lizzie McGuire beats him in a chess tournament.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out what show he was in.
Oh my God.
It's fully Lanny from Lizzie McGuire. In his first line ever, because Lanny doesn't speak, he says checkmate in this movie. So then he winds up, I think after the chess tournament, he sees his neighbor, Old Man Vic, at a car show. And the guy who's running the car show is like, Vic's car's the best, but he doesn't have a great personality. So he's not going to get a lot of donations. And so Justin is like, I am in a wheelchair and I'm charismatic. People will give me money. And so he basically works the car show for Vic. Vic wins. He's like, what's in it for you? He's like, I just want your trophy. So a couple days go by. Justin hears that Vic has the trophy. And so he goes over to his house but can't find him. Justin goes into Vic's garage, sees a big box that says like metal components or something like that, and tries to get it from the top shelf. But wouldn't you know it, he ends up knocking over the whole shelf onto the award-winning car. This is classic. So then his parents, in a very tough day of court, decide that he needs to work for Vic for the summer to like pay him back for the damage he's done. They kind of strike up a friendship. It's still a little bit like we're still a little cat and mouse, like we're not very close yet. But definitely one thing Vic says is, don't go in that shed. So then, like, the day that Vic is like, I like you, I'm gonna run some errands. You good? Justin is like, yep, and immediately betrays his trust and goes into the shed that he's not supposed to go into. And he sees all these trophies that he's after and a soapbox. And then he starts watching, like, home movies of a little girl with Vic and an unidentified woman. This little girl was a soapbox champion. Vic comes home. He's like, get out, really weirdly. And then Justin is like, I want to be a soapbox car racer. And I think that I can do it. So he doesn't tell anybody that he has betrayed Vic's trust. He's like, I want to do this. And Vic knows how to. And his parents are like, okay, ask him. And so he goes over with fresh baked cookies from mom and is like, now I feel like he's been with Vic enough that he knows kind of just how to push him. So he's like, please, like, I'll be really good. Like, you're the only guy who can do it. Like, please, please, please. And Vic is like, I'll get you started. They go to a soapbox thing. They see how it works. He meets that girl that he's going to race later. And then Vic is like, okay, this is terrible. Vic is like, okay, I got you started. That's it. And then Justin is like, I'm going to poke the bear one more time and be like, was that little girl your daughter? Which is like, wow. Like, he's obviously upset about it. But Vic's like, yes, and feels bad. So he's like, leave me alone. But then Mr. Yoder, his name is weird too.
Myron.
Myron.
Yes. Myron Yoder.
Daddy.
Big time zaddy. Gets obsessed with building Jason's soapbox car. And so he is like, I just want Justin to succeed. And I'm going to help build his soapbox car. So meanwhile, Seth is taking some kind of stomach medication for an upset stomach. and really wants his dad to come to his baseball game. His dad's like, I'll be there, Scout's honor. It's pretty hot, honestly. But he's trying to figure out a way for Justin's car to brake because he is paralyzed from the waist down and can't use a foot brake. And so as he's getting in the car to go to Seth's baseball game, he pulls on the emergency brake, which, like, they're not on a hill. Why was it on? Whatever.
If it was a stick shift, he would use it every time.
Oh, thank you, pal.
Mm-hmm.
This explains a lot. It literally bugged me. I was like, this is a flat surface. I was upset. So he pulls on the brake and he's like, that's it. So he runs back in and builds the whole thing in a night. And then Vic helps him do it. And then by the time he realizes he's missed Seth's game, drives to the field and watches them turn the lights off. Devastating.
Heartbreaking.
Comes home. Mama Grizzly's like, you need to talk to Seth. This is your fault. Dad goes and talks to Seth. Seth is like, you only care about Justin. Bye. So then they go to the first practice run that they're going to do. And Justin can't steer. And he ends up crashing into a mailbox. And Vic is like, oh, the wires got crossed. And Justin storms home and finds Seth in the front yard with his friends and is like, you did this. You crossed my wires because you're upset that Dad didn't go to your baseball game and he's focusing too much on me. And Seth says, I hate you. I wish you were dead.
And that's the moment I said, yeesh.
Okay.
Really tough.
Yeah.
Tough to hear. But I think that Justin kind of takes it on the chin. He's like, yeesh as well.
Yeesh.
So I'm not sure how we get out of that. But
we find out that Justin then they like go to like kind of a montage scene where Justin's like, actually, my dad crossed the wires.
Yeah, he says, nothing like being wrong to shake a guy's confidence. Like,
yes.
Right after this.
Yes.
He's about to race for the first time.
So it wasn't Seth. He's at the first race. Seth is there begrudgingly reading a book, I think. And the whole fam is there really, really excited. And Justin wins. And then it's kind of like full court press after that through some races until we get to one race where Justin's head hurts. And we knew from earlier in the movie that if his head hurts, it means that the fluid is not draining from his brain correctly, and that could be fatal. So he has a headache, but all he keeps saying to himself is trophy, trophy, trophy. He really wants to win. And like, I'd say like 15, 16ths down the hill, he's like almost to the finish line. He like completely loses his sight and passes out and runs into something, like crashes his car. And so he's rushed to the hospital, has a moment with God, and then wakes up and has a moment with the real Bobby Wade, where he gives advice on how to drive. And Bobby Wade has a bedpan and is like demonstrating on his wheel. Later keeps the bedpan. Questions. But Justin is like, don't grip too hard. He's like, focus. Like, the car's your best friend. He gives all these like weird platitudes about cars. So then Bobby Wade's like, thanks. So then his parents come in and they're like, you okay, champ? Like, they're literally like, you good? Like, he almost died. And so then they go home and Seth is like, this is where my tape cut out. Seth is like, am I the only one who cares that Justin might die?
Because he doesn't want him to race again. And they find out that the kid who beat him
that's
like
right,
dropped out or something. And so
and
he's going
go
to get to go. Yeah.
The Nationals.
Right.
And they're like, heck yeah. Like, mom and dad aren't concerned at all. And Seth is like, only I care. And I should have said that Justin, in the scene where he fights with Seth, reveals that he goes to a therapist. And Seth is like, I'm so stressed out about you all the time. And so this is really like a display of his anxiety about his brother. And he feels like he's the only one who worries about him. But he is comforted by Myron, hot Myron. And Myron's like, we all worry, but you can't let it get to you. Hot
Myron.
So they go to Nationals. They go to like the soapbox derby championships, and bracket time. There's a 24 seed bracket of all the soapbox racers. And they kind of do like, I think there's only one racer. No, he does the trial. And that girl that we saw at his first getting started race that he doesn't race in, she's there. And she's supposed to be like the best in the land. And her dad is like a tough guy. Like, he wants her to win. So he does the trial. They like yank him out of the car, Justin out of the car, and they like leave. They leave the soapbox car there. And then with all these other people around, this random dad is like, I didn't pay $20,000 to lose to a kid in a wheelchair, which is tough to hear.
He calls him a worse word than that earlier.
I didn't want to say it, but he does use a word that begins with a C. So he opens like the hood of the car, I guess you would call it, and sees that he has a handbrake, and he takes it to like the board or whatever of the race. And the board comes to the hotel room of the Yoders
with the worst take in history.
Yeah, they're like, they're literally like, we know it would be discriminatory, but this is about principle. Like,
right. If we have to accommodate you, then we have to accommodate everybody.
Right. So they're like, you can't race. And they're like, this is BS. So they go in front of the board after their hotel room, and they're arguing with the board to let Justin race. And then Seth becomes some kind of media guru and is like, we studied like media in high school, and for the last hour I've been calling like every local station to like get their thoughts on this. And he brings in a bunch of reporters and puts public pressure on these board members. Honestly, it's a genius move, but like, has Seth shown any interest in school? I don't know. I don't think there's a precedent for it. I know. What is going on? There are car phones in this movie, and Seth knows to call every reporter in town. So they let Justin race, and in the middle of the night, they go and like drop golf balls down or something, or they're like inspecting the hill.
Yeah.
And this is when Justin says like, lane 1 looks better. And I was like, oh. And then the dad's like, but lane 2, or like they talk about lane 1 and lane 2.
Yeah, they compare them, yeah.
So then we do a montage from Seth's point of view of like the whole thing until the championship, and he's going against the girl. And he's in lane 2, when you know it. And Seth, before the race starts, is this when you cried?
Yes.
Maybe. Seth comes up and is like, I know that you want to be like me, but like you're the most amazing person that I know. And like, you're my hero. And he like puts his head to Justin's head. I don't know. It's just such a nice, like, we're here together in this moment. Meanwhile, all I can think about is and hear are the announcers being like, clear the opening gate. They say it like 3 times. Yeah. Clear the gate. And Seth is like having this beautiful moment with his brother. So then Justin is going down the hill. It's a full 3 minutes. And he is talking about how usually he only sees the track, but right now I'm only like thinking about what Seth said to me. And obviously he wins. Is it a miracle? I don't know. He's like never lost a race. So I don't think it's a miracle, but he wins. And the girl is like, good job, rookie. And he's like, thanks. And he gets his trophy, and his relationship with Seth is repaired. And then they do a little Justin Yoder changed national soapbox rules with his handbrakes montage.
And the parents finally sleep together.
And then it ends in a X-rated scene.
With that strawberry massage.
And the handbrake.
Please, where is the handbrake in the middle of this? I hate that. Oh my gosh. So how'd I do?
That was amazing.
Incredible.
Well done.
Thank you.
Incredible. You did great. You hit all the major plot points.
Yeah, you did.
Awesome.
Something that just occurred to me, I think that like part of what was irritating me about Justin or like Frankie Muniz or whatever, other than his face acting, was I was having trouble. Like I was like, he's literally been asked by this guy who he barely knows not to go in his shed, and he's still going in his shed, you know, and before that why is he going in his garage? Like his choices didn't seem to make sense to me, or like he seemed to be so like insensitive or like monomaniacal about this trophy thing. But like the more I think about it, the more I think that every single person in this movie, even when they're making a choice that feels weird, it's very in line with their experience and their like emotions. Cause like I was thinking about how I mean, his experience, like we talked about already, is he's very internal. And he hasn't had a lot of life experience. Like I had a friend in college who had suffered from Crohn's disease for like most of their childhood. And so they'd kind of like missed out on childhood. And so their experience in college was really different because they were having a lot of these experiences for the first time and they were learning things that most of us had already kind of
like
learned.
social cues and boundaries and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, that's like this kid is 12 and in a lot of ways he's very precocious. He's very smart. He's very self-aware, but in other ways he's very stunted because he just hasn't had the same kind of experience as other kids. So if you think about it that way, it makes more sense. And then like, one thing that we haven't talked about is like in that scene where the dad is talking to Seth after he misses the baseball game. He literally says, I basically can't bring myself to go to your games because if one of my kids can't play, then I can't, or if I can't celebrate the wins of one of my kids, then I don't want to celebrate any of them.
Yes.
And like, that's so unfair to Seth, but it also makes sense for this guy. You know, it feels very real, like a dad who never expected in a million years to have a special needs kid, how he might deal with a situation like this. You know, he's not a perfect person. And it just feels really authentic. And even like when you were talking about how like the parents are kind of flip about his safety sometimes, like I think that, or even he is flip about his own safety. I think it's like because it's just like they're almost like their nerves are deadened because it's like
they're desensitized.
Yeah, like this happens so frequently. Like in the movie had his 25th surgery, right? So like if you've gone through that so many times, it's like it can't be as raw as it was the first time, right? Because you just never survive. Like you wouldn't be able to emotionally like tolerate that. So this is a very like, we talked last week about how like Rip Girls was really emotionally intelligent. And I think this is another very emotionally intelligent film.
Yeah, I think also to go back to the scene where Seth and Dad are fighting in the garage and they talk about the wins of their sons, something that I was thinking about in preparation for this episode, of course, then that went out of my brain the minute we started, was that I am a younger sibling and my brother got a lot of attention when I was younger. And I think when I was a kid watching this, I sort of like identified with Justin because my older brother received many like public accolades and received a lot of attention in that way. But then watching this, as an adult, I felt for Seth in a way that like I don't think I could have seen as a kid. So I don't know. I just really love the Seth character. And I know that you said that he did a great job with it earlier, and he really does. But I just like we don't even get a full explanation like on why Seth is taking stomach medication because he's so anxious. Like that's I don't know.
He just cares about his brother, and he's
that felt like kind of a minor plot hole for me.
That he had anxiety.
Like we're getting this whole thing of like it's so big, and then like obviously like you know like anxiety isn't something to joke about. It hurt his stomach so much like it was anxiety, but like I just feel like once we found out that's what it was, we didn't get enough of a wrap up from it. I don't know. It just didn't feel fulfilled for me.
That's fair. I think they probably tried to fulfill it or like and round it out in that scene where he breaks down with the dad. And he sort of like reveals why he's been such a dipshit the entire time because he actually is like really, really worried about Justin. And it's not because he feels jealous or any of the other things you might expect from a teenage boy who's used to getting all the attention. And again, it's one of those things where it's like you're like, why is this person acting like this? And then as soon as it's clarified, it makes perfect sense. Every single thing that they did. But it's if they didn't land it for you, Al, that's okay. I mean,
I don't know. There was just something about it that I was like, maybe I just missed it. I don't know. Maybe it was just like in a moment where I zoned out or something, and I was just like, I don't know that this comes full circle for me.
Sure. I mean, they also didn't have a lot of time to address it, right? Because like they're focused on other stuff. Like they had to kind of wrap.
But that's the thing is like they spent so much time on that in the first half to 2/3 of the movie that I felt like it was kind of just pushed aside for the last third.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that another thing with Seth that I think made sense and like worked for me at least was how he kind of felt. In some moments, he still was very childlike because he was a child, but also he was very adult. You know, he was always like helping put the car on the trailer or the soapbox thing on the trailer. He was always like, you know, doing these like adult things. Like when they think that there's an early part in the movie where Justin has like a headache and it's like a false alarm. They think that he needs to go to the hospital and they're all like freaking out. And like Seth is as much a part of like getting things organized and getting them to the hospital as the parents are. And I think that like that moment at the end, I think that like the whole movie, he's kind of resisting against that. Like he's like, I'm a kid. I want to be a kid. I want to just go play my baseball game and have my dad go to my games and like cheer me on and like have a normal childhood. And I think that moment where he is so kind to Justin, I think is him kind of accepting that he can't have a normal childhood. And that's okay because instead he gets Justin. Right. And he gets to have that relationship. And like he can be the adult in that situation because he's finally accepting that that's his role. And I think that's part of why that really like resonated with me is because he just kind of like let go and just like allowed himself to be what he needed to be and what his life really was rather than trying to have something he couldn't, which I think is the theme of this whole movie.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Nia, go for it.
I was just going to say I have no transition for this, but should we talk about the
fat comment?
Line?
Yes. I was just going to say that. Yep. Let's do it.
So at the final race, Justin goes up to the girl that he's going to compete against with cookies. Yes.
Yes. More cookies.
And he is like, do you want one? And she says, no, thanks. I'm watching my weight. Justin says, but you're not fat. She says, I'm not trying to mess up the weight distribution of my soapbox. Like she kind of says it like that because she's like, yeah, we both do the same thing. And you know how this sport works, you idiot. And then he is like, oh, like he gives this face that is like, oh, yikes. Like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And it's like, it's so, I mean, this was 2000. Obviously, the conversations have changed, but it's so interesting to me that an entire movie about disability and adversity in society has this like horribly blatant fat phobic moment in it. It's just like so strong and it
unnecessary.
It stuck out.
Yeah.
It seems so like, why is this in here?
Right. Like she could have, even if they wanted to still make that sort of like a plot point where it's sort of, you know, he goes over and tries to make friends and brings cookies. Well, first of all, they didn't have to have him bring cookies, but even if they wanted to have him bring cookies, like she could have said something like, my dad won't let me eat anything before my race or something like that. And just left it at that. It's the line where he says, why? You're not fat. That is the problem in that, in that scene, because nobody was talking about that. Like nobody was saying she was fat. And also people watch their weight for different reasons. The only answer is not because they're fat. And that just really bothered me. So yes, we needed to address it because
and I mean, she's 12.
And she's a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah. Well, as a kid of that age who had an eating disorder, this stuck out to me so much and really made me angry because I had a parent who focused on my weight and made that a thing and made me to this day very self-conscious about my body. And there is literally no need for this in any movie, but especially in a movie about coming to some kind of acceptance about your own body.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just another reminder that this movie was written by men. Midnights. All Ahoy! Welcome to Bango!
Thanks, Paul McCartney.
Never calling Lang to Bango. As you know, we're trying to hit those sweet, sweet bingo lines. We'll go one at a time. And if we get bingo, we cheer and scream. And if we don't, we cheer and scream because we had fun along the way. Awesome. So we're going to start in the top left corner. I'll start today. One hit wonder song.
No. Breaking the fourth wall.
Not that I saw.
No, which is surprising given the format of the movie.
Yeah.
Holiday themed. Not unless there's a secret Mennonite holiday. We don't know.
But it's spooky season.
It is.
Spooky.
Ooh.
Clunky metaphor. Val.
Using gravity to to win. The whole thing with like how you grip the wheel or you don't, and all that stuff. It's all about letting go.
Oh.
Let it go. Let it go.
I'm like a dumb idiot, so like I would never pick up on that, but I will, if that is true to you, then I will go with that.
I'll take
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think all of these have like some kind of metaphor in them. Some of them are more obvious than others, but I felt like definitely the whole concept of like leaning into letting the gravity of your life kind of like take you and not fighting so much and trying to like, the whole thing with the first time he ever gets in the box and the steering is crisscrossed is because he like that is a metaphor for like being, trying too hard and being discombobulated. So I don't know. That's at least what I interpreted.
Nice. I'll
Fair.
take it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Parents who just don't get it.
I don't
Not
think
here.
so. No.
And they're so cool.
And hot.
So hot.
Cool non-parent adult. Vic.
Is Vic cool?
Oh yeah,
He gets
turns
cool
so
by the end.
cool.
Also, he
Okay.
knew Bobby Wade. That was why Bobby Wade came to the hospital room. Because
That's
Vic
true.
knew him.
That's pretty cool,
Fair.
Vic.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't
Fair.
start off cool and he turns cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Someone too famous for a TV movie.
Frankie?
Yeah.
Was he famous by then?
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't think so.
All right.
Competition to resolve central problem.
Yeah.
Hello. Lane
We don't get
2.
to we don't get to mark this one very often, and I love when we do.
Montage sequence. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
It's a real long one.
Mm-hmm.
At least there's only one this time.
I think there's two.
Oh. Yeah, there's two. Cliche villains.
I would say the closest thing to what I would call like the cliche villain of like someone who is villainous is the dad who cheats to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
competitor.
Yeah. Like
The competitor is a cliche villain.
yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Closer item you owned.
They had a desk lamp that I had.
Okay. Nice. Rotten Tomatoes 40 to 60. Okay, Nia, do you know what it is? Or
I
are you
don't.
gonna guess? Okay. Do you know how we do this?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's within 5 either way.
Yeah. Or yes, yeah. For us to feel good about ourselves. I'm gonna actually guess that it's above 60. I'm gonna say 72.
I'm going to say 64.
Nia wins this round at 61.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
I would have guessed it was
Hey.
higher than Rip Girls.
Audience score 68.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we don't get the point, the box, but Nia gets a point in her heart.
Mhm.
Yes.
Happily ever after.
I would say
Yes.
yes.
Almost kissing.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Those parents have so much sexual tension. They are almost kissing the entire movie. I will not let us skip by this box unless we mark it.
It's I agree that it's for sure for them. And I'm pretty sure in the very beginning when Seth is on the soccer field,
Oh,
that
yeah.
girl he hangs out with almost kisses him.
I agree. Yes. Someone who became famous.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Muniz.
Frankfurt Muniz.
Frankfurt.
And I like marking when we have a lot of character actors who end up having good careers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone in this movie had a good career.
Totally.
Betraying of one's real friends or values. I don't think so.
The way he treats Vic in the beginning of the movie is kind of self-centered, but I don't know if that's like betraying of his values.
Yeah, but I feel like it's kind of like to your point earlier of like he just doesn't have those social cues because he's usually at home.
Yeah.
So it's not so much betraying his friends or values. It's just like he's learning.
Yeah.
I agree. This movie is not about betraying one's values. It is about a clash of held values.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
Between characters.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Your childhood crush.
Mark it.
I love Seth and the dad.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I loved Seth a lot.
Am I the only one who had a crush on Frankie Muniz?
I did not have a crush on
I
Frankie
didn't either.
Muniz.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Big Fat Liar? Oh!
Nope.
I mean,
do it for me.
This is going to be... The square is covered. This is yes. This is a yes.
Yes.
For a
Well,
lot.
I mean, now it's
yes,
all
yes.
Daddy Myron.
Yes.
But
Oh,
yeah.
Myron and Sheila. They can both get it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Obviously bad special effects or stunts every time he crashed.
Oh my God, that was not Frankie Muniz. That was not him.
This is again where I'm a big dumb idiot. I didn't notice, but
Oh,
now I'm
Mia.
gonna watch it. I
Oh, my
literally
God.
didn't notice, but I'm gonna watch it
Mia.
again.
It is so funny.
It is so obviously not him.
I think it's
It's me, Eric Fontaine, Kirsten Storms, Ryan Merriman, Kimberly J. Brown, or any Lawrence brother.
no.
I have a question though. Since Nia is guesting on the pod today, and not spoiler alert, we are going to be doing a Tourney Pod D-Commentaries crossover.
We're in it right now.
Yeah, it's happening. So go do it. I'm wondering if we can have a special guest mark of this box because we have Nia today.
Ooh. Okay.
I feel like this should not be my decision.
No, I
So
know
it
it
is.
is. I approve. I approve.
So we'll just put a picture of Nia on that one.
Okay, perfect.
I'm the actor.
And just so everyone understands why it's this box in particular, we are in the midst right now of crossover week between the Tournament podcast and D-Commentaries. And some of you may be listening to us already know this, but for those who don't, yesterday a bracket dropped on the Tournament podcast that is classic, like original era D-Commentaries stars. That is the bracket. So, and we guested on the Tournament podcast, so you can hear our voices on that episode if you haven't already.
It's a lot of laughs.
Great time had by all. So that is why specifically this box, it feels appropriate to mark specially
Only
for,
this week.
Yes, only this week for Nia and in honor of this crossover event of the season.
Crossover event of the season, baby.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Musical number.
Would always be better with one.
But there is none.
Yes.
But there's not.
Magic. Nope. Unless you count God.
Or science because he had 25 surgeries.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
think so.
saying
Val
no.
doesn't want it. Val said science is not magic today.
Not today.
It has to be like science that feels like magic. Like good
Okay.
surgery is just good science.
That's a sexy statement, Val. That's a sexy statement.
Thank you.
Someone says the title of the movie.
No.
I was expecting them to, and they didn't.
No, they did not.
Sadly.
Mm-hmm.
Scooby Dude.
No.
No.
There's
not
nothing-
really like a thing for him to solve.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He just gets better at something over time, which I think is just
with
normal.
practice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And support.
Yes. The heroes create the problem. Well, I guess it depends on what the problem is.
Yes.
I feel like
The problem is that they're all having issues dealing with the fact that he has this issue.
the problem is like communication skills.
Yeah, and processing of,
And that's not like his problem.
no.
Yeah, I guess it isn't his problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. I'll say no.
Yeah. And last but not least, a lead is a fish out of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Odd man out.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Great. Well, Al?
No bingo.
No bingo.
We were close.
But we're going to have a picture of Nia's face.
So we win. Al, you got a game for us?
Oh, you bet your sweet ass I do, Val. This week's fun.
Okay.
I'm actually really excited. All right. This game is called Midwest is Best.
Ooh.
Oh, yes.
Because this is based in Indiana.
Yes, yes, yes. You get it. All right. So this movie is set in Goshen, Indiana. It's in Elkhart County, Indiana. So like Elkhart, Indiana / South. It's not
South Bend,
by South Bend, but
near
it's like
South Bend.
close to. Yeah. So I have a list of movies. You have to guess which state it was in. Your three options are Ohio, Indiana, or Illinois.
Oh,
Great.
Is where the location is set.
Okay.
There's a good chunk.
Okay.
So, all right. We'll start off with an easy one. And that is A League of Their Own.
Illinois.
Yeah, you're right. Illinois.
All right, Val gets 1 point. It's set in Illinois. The Rockford Peaches are the team that they play for. All right. What state is this in? Rain Man.
Indiana.
Ohio.
Val gets the point. It's Ohio.
That was
Nice.
Total guess.
Never even seen it.
Good.
All right. All of the Halloween movies.
Ohio.
Indiana?
Neither of you get the point.
Okay.
It's Illinois.
Really?
Illinois.
Bad at this game, but I'm having fun.
Truly, I typed in like movie set in Illinois, and it was like all of the Halloweens. Very funny. Another easy one: Mean Girls.
Illinois.
Yeah, there we go. We'll give you a point. Mean Girls is set in the North Shore, so
Yep.
right around like it's based off of, I believe, New Trier High School.
Yes, it is. It's near where I went to middle and high school as well.
So fun.
Mhm.
Heathers.
Ooh.
Indiana.
It is a movie and a musical. Nia says Indiana. Val.
Indiana.
It's Ohio.
No.
You seem so confident, Nia.
I was confident.
The Fault in Our Stars.
Illinois.
I saw this. Indiana.
It's Indiana. Nia gets the point.
Okay.
All
My
right.
First one.
A Christmas Story.
Illinois.
Illinois.
Indiana.
No way.
Oh.
Breakfast Club.
Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah, you both get a point. Easy one. And a hard one. Also one of my favorite movies, Scooby-Doo 2.
Gosh, I have no idea. Ohio.
Ohio.
It is Ohio.
Yay!
You both get a point. All right, Val won 5-4. Thank you for playing Midwest is Best.
I love that. Good
Great
job.
game.
Yay. That was fun. I like that game. All right, well, do we have anything we want to wrap up with?
Well, we kind of already plugged the crossover event. Anything else you want to say about that, Nia?
It's an 8-seed bracket, so I think we decided that today would be the second day of the opening round voting. So you still have time. If you're just listening to this now, you're getting in on the ground floor still.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the Tourney Pod. You can vote. You can vote.
Yeah.
You can affect what happens.
Yeah, on our podcast, you don't get a forking say.
No,
You don't
do
get a
not.
say, okay? You only have to listen to me and Val's opinions, and you have to accept them as fact.
If you would like to vote, you can go to the tridentnetwork.com/the-tourney-pod, or you can just follow us on Instagram at the Tourney Pod, or honestly, probably all of the DCOM socials are probably also sharing ways to vote. So
yes, for sure.
if you
We
already
will share
follow
them.
D-commentaries, then you're good.
That is correct.
And Nia and Trent are incredible. Listen to all of their podcasts. They have some pretty fun brackets, including Best Pixar Movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I believe we had mentioned before, which is Ratatouille, right, Nia?
Right, Allie. You guys can't see this, but Allie is holding up a sign that says answer yes or you die. So yes, it is Ratatouille.
Wow, Nia, thank you so much for joining us today.
I can't express to you how thankful I am that you guys would have me on. I love this movie so much.
I don't think there's anyone else we could have had guest.
Agreed.
There's no one who would have fit the bill unless it was Frankie Muniz himself.
Yeah.
And then
and he's in jail for murder, so he's not coming on this podcast.
For the record, he's not
Absolutely.
in jail for murder. Please don't sue us, Frankie Muniz.
Don't sue us, Frankie. All right. Well, Ania, you're a dream come true. Thank you
So
so
are
much
you
for
guys.
joining us.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been an honor to see you more than once this week.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. I've had a blast both times.
Yes. All right. Bye, Val.
Bye, Al. Bye, Nia.
Bye, Val and Al.
This podcast was produced by me,
And me.
and it was edited by me.
The music was composed by Michael McNally.
You can find us online at thetridentnetwork.com/dcommentaries-pod.
And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at dcommentaries.
D-Commentaries is a part of the Trident Network. To learn more about our videos, live shows, and other podcasts, please visit thetridentnetwork.com.
Disney Channel original movies.
Damn it, Allie.